A special honor, நாட்டு காய்கறி விதைகளை மீட்டெடுத்து நல்லுணவு நலவாழ்விற்கு வித்திட்ட திரு விதை யோகநாதன் அவர்களை சீட் அறக்கட்டளை வணங்கி வாழ்த்தி சிறப்பிக்க உள்ளது. இதற்காக மருத்துவர் கு சிவராமன் ஐயா அவர்களை மேடைக்கு அழைக்கிறோம்.
நம்மளுடைய கருத்தரங்களுடைய முன்னாடி வாசல்ல நாட்டு காய்கறிகள் மூலிகைகளுடைய விதைகள் காட்சிக்கு வைக்கப்பட்டிருக்கு. நேற்று முழுக்க நிறைய மாணவர்களும் பொதுமக்களும் ரொம்ப ஆர்வத்தோட பார்த்தது அந்த அரங்கினுடைய அதில் வைக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிற விதைகளை தான். தமிழகத்தில் எந்த இடத்தில் விவசாய கருத்தரங்குகளோ இல்லை இது மாதிரி மூலிகை கூட்டமைப்புகளோ எது நடந்தாலும் ஒரு தன்னார்வத்தோடு இந்த நாட்டு விதைகளை பரவலாக்க வேண்டும் என பணியாற்றி கொண்டிருப்பவர் யோகநாதன் அவர்கள். இந்த கருத்தரங்கு நடக்குதுன்னு சொல்லி ஒரு தொலைபேசியில் தான் கூப்பிட்டு சொன்னேன். ஒரே வார்த்தை, எங்கே வரணும், எந்த இடம், எப்படி கொண்டு வரணும், அவ்வளோதான். ஏதாவது ஒரு டேபிள் எதுவும் கொடுப்பீங்களா வைக்கிறதுக்கு, நான் வைக்கிறேன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னாங்க. உண்மையிலே அந்த இடத்துல போய் பார்த்தா அவ்வளோ பிரமிப்பாக இருக்குது. தேவர் மகன் நினைக்கிறேன், ஒரு சிவாஜி படத்தில் ஒரு வசனம் உண்டு, விதை நான் போட்டது அப்படின்ட்டு. அது மாதிரி அந்த விதை நான் போட்டதுன்னு திரும்ப திரும்ப காட்டுற மாதிரி எல்லா இடத்துலையும் கொண்டு வந்திருக்காங்க. நம்ம மாணவர்கள், மருத்துவர்கள், சீட் அமைப்பர் அத்தனை பேரும் ஒரு பலத்த கரவொலியோடு அவருக்கு இந்த விருதை வழங்க வேண்டும் நினைக்கிறேன்.
I request Dr. Sulfin Nihar to take over the session. Thank you.
அதாவது நம்ம கருத்தரங்கத்தினுடைய 5வது அமர்வில் செஷனுக்கு வந்திருக்கோம். ரொம்ப நேரமின்மை காரணமாக மேடம் இப்போ முதல் டாபிக் பேச போகிறது டாக்டர் ஏ சுமதி. அவங்க ஒரு காம்ப்ளிமெண்ட்ரி அப்ரோச் இந்த ட்ரீட்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் சைக்ளோஸ்போரின் இன்டியூஸ்ட் நெஃப்ரோடாக்சிட்டி அப்படிங்கிற தலைப்பில் பேச போகிறாங்க. மேடத்தை பற்றி சொல்லணுன்னா இப்போ ராஜாசங்கர் சொன்ன மாதிரி தான், ஏகப்பட்ட ப்ரொஃபைல் சிவியில் நிறைய இருக்குது. நான் கொஞ்சம் ரொம்ப எவ்வளோ ஷார்ட்டாக சொல்ல முடியுமோ சொல்கிறேன். அவங்களுடைய பிஎஸ்சி எம்எஸ்சி எல்லாம் பயோகெமிஸ்ட்ரி, அப்புறம் பயோடெக்னாலஜியில் டிப்ளமோ கம்ப்ளீட் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. அவங்களுடைய பிஹெச்டி ஒர்க் பயோகெமிக்கல் அண்ட் ஃபார்மசூட்டிக்கல் ஸ்டடீஸ் இந்த ட்ரீட்மெண்ட் பேஷண்ட்ஸ் வித் டயபெட்டிஸ் அண்ட் டயபெட்டிஸ் வித் டிபி இந்த ட்ரீட்மெண்ட்டில் அவங்களோட பிஹெச்டி ஒர்க்கு பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. பட் மேடம் அவங்களுடைய டீச்சிங் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் பார்த்திங்கன்னா ஒரு 21 இயர்ஸ் டீச்சிங் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ், ரிசர்ச் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் ஒரு 15 இயர்ஸ் ரிசர்ச் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் இருக்குது. அவங்க நிறைய போர்ட் ஆஃப் ஸ்டடீஸில் மெம்பராக மேடம் இருக்காங்க. அப்புறம் அவங்க இப்போ ஒர்க் பண்ணுறது ராமச்சந்திரா இன்ஸ்டியூட்டில், அது ஹெல்த் சயின்சஸில் ஒர்க் பண்ணிகிட்டு இருக்காங்க, ப்ரொஃபஸராக இருக்காங்க. டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்டு பயோமெடிக்கல் சயின்சஸில் ஹெட் ஆஃப் த டிபார்ட்மெண்ட். அவங்க மேடம் அங்கே ஒரு லான்ச் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க, ஏன்னா பயோமெடிக்கல் சயின்சஸ் ப்ரோக்ராம் அந்த இன்ஸ்டியூட்டில் லான்ச் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. வேறு ஒரு டைம் ட்ரைனிங்கும் அங்கே அதே இன்ஸ்டியூட்டில் லான்ச் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. ஸ்கூல் டீச்சர்ஸ்க்கு, பயாலஜி ஸ்கூல் டீச்சர்ஸ்க்கு ஒரு ஒர்க் ஷாப் இன்ட்ரோடியூஸ் பண்ணி ரெகுலராக போயிட்டுருக்கு, அதுவும் கண்டக்ட் பண்ணிகிட்டு இருக்காங்க. அவங்களோட பிஜி யூஜி பிஹெச்டி ஸ்காலர்ஸ்க்கு நிறைய பேருக்கு கைடு. மேடத்துடைய ப்ராஜெக்ட்ஸ்லாம் பார்த்திங்கன்னா அவங்களோட கைடன்ஸில் நிறைய ஒர்க்கு போயிட்டுருக்கு. அதில் ஒரு சில எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்லணும்னா, எம்எஸ்சி அவங்க நிறைய ஆன்டி கேன்சர் ஆக்டிவிட்டி, நெஃப்ரோடாக்சிட்டி அதெல்லாம் நல்லா ஸ்டடி பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. அதில் ஒரு கைடன்ஸ் தான் பார்த்திங்கன்னா ஸ்டடி ஆன் த ப்ரொடெக்டிவ் எஃபெக்ட் ஆஃப் பயோரேவியா டிஃப்யூஸா, நம்ம மூக்கரட்டையுடைய எஃபெக்ட் அகேன்ஸ்ட் நெஃப்ரோடாக்சிட்டி இன்டியூஸ்டு சம் கீமோதெரபிட்டிக் ஏஜென்ட் இன் ரீனல் எபித்தீலியல் செல்லைன்ஸ். அதனால் மூக்கரட்டையை வச்சு எப்படி நெஃப்ரோடாக்சிட்டியை கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணுறதுங்கிறது அது ஒரு முக்கியமான ஒர்க்கு. அதே மாதிரி ஆன்டி கேன்சர் ஆக்டிவிட்டி நிறையா போயிட்டுருக்கு. அது கோலன் கேன்சர்லாம் இல்லைனாலும் நம்ம வேஸ்ட்டாக நினைக்கிற சாதாரணமாக நமக்கு வீடாக வளரக்கூடிய குரோட்டன் பான் பிளான்டியனஸில் நிறைய ஒர்க்கு போயிட்டுருக்கு மேடத்தோட ஒர்க்கு. ஸோ அவங்க அவங்களுடைய லெக்சர் ரொம்ப வேல்யூபிளாக இருக்கும். எல்லோரும் அதை நாங்கள் ரொம்ப எக்ஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணுறோம். நான் குணப்பாடத்தில் இருந்துட்டு இப்போ டாக்ஸிகாலஜி டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்டில் இருக்கிறேன். எங்களுக்கு அது ரொம்ப வேல்யூபிளாக இருக்கும். எங்களோட ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸுக்கு, என்னோட பிஜி ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸுக்கு கண்டிப்பாக வேல்யூபிளாக இருக்கும்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். அதனால் எல்லோரும் இதை நல்லபடியாக பயன்படுத்தணும், வேஸ்ட் பண்ணாமல் பயன்படுத்தணும்னு நான் விரும்புகிறேன். வணக்கம்.
Good afternoon, respected members of the Seed Trust, the President, Organizing Secretary, the Treasurer, faculties, my dear budding doctors and the researchers. I'm very happy to be here. Being with students is a power. So I'm going to make you all the more strengthened with some research area that we are conducting in Ramachandra. I'm very happy to congratulate the Seed Trust for taking this initiative in exploring the unexplored Siddha herbs, the need of the hour. Herbal medicine is India's pride, I would say. But I doubt, are we up to the mark? We need to question ourselves. This is the time. If we don't question ourselves, I don't think in 2050 we may carry the culture, the tradition of India, which no other country has overlooked. So, with these words, I just provoking your thoughts. Where I am, what am I doing, where I need to take myself to elevate my India, my traditional knowledge, I should retain. It should be the responsibility of each and every one of the students who is sitting here, especially the doctors. With this small thoughts, let us move into the session. In the beginning of the session, I just went through the Google and searched for where we are about the traditional status. So, when I was looking into on a website, the India Brand Equity Foundation, IBEF, gave some information about the prevalence of the types of herbs in 15 agroclimatic regions in India. There are approximately 18,000, of which only 6,000 to 7,000 plants are explored for its therapeutic property. What about the remaining types? It's pending, still pending, because we don't take it forward to test, to identify, to explore its therapeutic properties. Because of this, the India's share globally is not up to the mark in supplying the herbs and herbal products. So there is a huge gap that exists in this. I think it's our duty to fill this gap, otherwise we'll be losing this status after some time. Of course, recently we are affected very much. The whole world got affected with COVID. Thank God we have slowly recovering, but the loss that we have met cannot be given back. Many of us lost our close ones. Pain. It's a very painful incident. Of course, we are good at using our traditional system of herbal medicines and the formulations which are derived by Ayush. And there is a very good article which I came through. They have beautifully mentioned about various Siddha medicines, especially the Kabasura Kudinir. Sir was talking in the morning, and Nilavembu. Of course, being allopathic doctors in our university, we were given with Kabasura Kudinir and Nilavembu Kudinir instead of tea and coffee in the morning and in the evening. Of course, it's something very accomplishing. When we have a problem, we just run to the herbal medicines. How many of you take the herbal kashayam which your mother gave at home? Or you yourself prefer that? Very few hands are raising. I could see that. If you are a Siddha doctor, the budding doctors who are going to prescribing such medicine or not taking that, are you not interested? Are you not trusting? Is it so? You should develop a condition, a nation where the people should ask for, give me 15 tablets of pepper. Give me 15 tablets of curcumin formulation. It can be done only by the students. If you think, if you explore, if you prove it, it will happen one day. Definitely. Right? We look for the Nattu Marundu Kadai. Where is it? It's in that kutti corner. But all kind of pharmaceutical industries are there in every state, 2 or 3 medical shop. Am I right or wrong, students? Right? Correct? How many of you apply manjal on your face? I don't see even a single one. Even I didn't. But I have done it through this, what is this? Vico turmeric. Manjal is there. It's our product. It's not outside. It's not international product. Buy our products. Indian products. Indian herbal formulations. If you don't support, who else? No one. So it has to start from the students. Am I right? You have to take it forward. Okay? So we need to support. It's not enough if you only support. People ask for proof. Correct? Scientific proof. Sir was telling in the morning in his lecture, if you drink this, liver will go off. Yes. Why? We don't test it with scientific evidence. We need to prove with scientific concept. People will agree. You need to develop your skill accordingly. Okay? So, in India, not much of the fatality rate that we could find. Only less than 1.5% compared to other countries. You know why the reason? The routine usage of our herbal medicine in the form of many things in our kitchen. Puli, uppu, kadugu, jeeragam. Am I right? Vendayam. I take vendayam, fenugreek when I have stomach pain. Why should I go for gelusil? Not necessary. It will go off in half an hour probably or 1 hour. Let it go slowly. Miracles will not happen in second and should not happen. It's not good for health. Drink jeeragam water. So, because of this traditional things which we consume on it without knowingly, keeps our immune system strong. Am I right? Definitely. So the fatality rate was lesser because of our strong immune system in spite of dense population in India. And we don't have sophisticated health care system in rural areas. Where is it? It's hard to find one hospital with good facility. We run to the cities, right? But still we could fight because of the traditional system. So it is our responsibility to uphold that traditional system. Hope you will do it. But there are challenges which I was telling in the beginning. People have to believe it, accept it. They will not do it. You say to your teacher or to the parents that I am reading every day 6 hours but I am not getting marks. What is the purpose of reading for 6 hours and not getting marks? They will ask you, no, chumma kada udra. What is the proof? Either in terms of acquiring knowledge or in terms of marks. Then they will believe you. Correct? It's not only through word of mouth. No, not different. Like that, when you say this plant, this extract, this formulation has got power, how do you prove it? You need scientific evidence. So, having all these in mind, normally when we test some formulations, we need to do the biochemical and molecular markers tested in vitro as well as in vivo. And then we will go for clinical trials. That's the final one. Correct? So we need to get some good results from the in vitro, preclinical. We call it as preclinical or in vitro studies and then go for in vivo study, in vivo and then human clinical trials. So, to develop a single drug, it takes a minimum of 10 to 12 years. Of course. But of course, there are a lot of natural products like vincristine, vinblastine, all these are accepted as anti-cancer. It's still in the market. People are using it. And in our hospital, the colon cancer patients are given with curcumin formulations along with allopathic medicine. You know why? It is effective. Morning, Arvind sir was telling, in India there was no colon cancer. Now it keeps increasing. You know the reason? Anyone knows the reason, student? Please share with me. I would be happy to hear from you. Come on. Yes? Fast food, very good. Like pizza, burger, noodles, chicken 65. All fried items contains advanced glycation end products. Ice cream, cake, pasta, faluda, all high items. Eating idli dosa or some kind of cool kelvaragu is something low. This is the mindset of the students. I don't know about the Tirunelveli students, but mostly in Chennai it happens. They eat one samosa in the morning for breakfast. One samosa, one Coke. That's all. Coke, you can use it for cleaning the toilet. Get one Coke bottle. No company is here, I believe. So kindly don't damage your stomach. Doing ill to your own self is not acceptable. You have no rights to damage yourself. Right? So kindly adopt the good food habits. This is the reason why the colon cancer number is increasing nowadays. Okay, take care of your stomach. Correct. So, having all these in mind, as I told you, to have a scientific proof, we thought this is one of the idea of the doctor, and this is a collaborative work of my student with a nephrologist. When we had a simple talk like this, so he asked, Madam, you are working in some formulations based something and all. I have some concern for my patients. Yes, sir, what is it? Most of the patients are coming nowadays with kidney failure. We don't know why. You know why? Why kidney failure occurs? People can talk because you had this formulation, went there, this, that, all that they will talk, let them talk. Don't worry, but you should know the reason. If the formulation is with some metal toxicity, all that, if it is not purified, processed, etc., there sometimes it happens, but not always. That is why I am just instigating you to become very aware of all these things. But if you have less water, salt, high salted food, infrequent urination, there are a lot of things affects kidney. So most of the patients end with end-stage renal disease. Then the only curative or the medical cure is to replace kidney transplantation. That's one of the successful thing happening in our country. After that, probably liver, heart, all that comes. So those patients who are having this organ transplantation, finally they survive. To somehow, some people are surviving, but they end up with developing nephrotoxicity. Already they are transplanted with donor's kidney, but because the immunosuppressant should be given, it is from someone else. As doctors, you know why it is. Otherwise, the rejection will happen. So in order to prevent the rejection, the immunosuppressant is given. So this drug will suppress your immunity against the new organ that's introduced in your body. Correct? So this is called immunosuppressant. It works well, keeps the person alive. But at the same time, the people develop nephrotoxicity. So that should be taken care of. You cannot withdraw the drug. Immunosuppressant drug, you cannot withdraw. If they withdraw the drug or reduce the drug, automatically it will end up with rejection. person will die. So, is there any medication from your plant to prevent this? I said, yes, sir. A lot of things were studied on the Borhavia diffusa, okay, a plant, the wonder plant. I'll come back to this. The Mukkarathai, okay, Punarnava. In north they call it as Punarnava, Mukkarathai, Nyctiginaceae family. So it's already in most of the formulations, in Ayurvedic, in Siddha formulation, it is there. But as I told you, it has to be evidenced, scientifically proven that this drug has got such a wonderful mechanistic way of curing, regenerating the kidney. So we started with in vitro analysis because you can't directly go to the in vivo. So we took the root because this is the most widely used part from the plant in many of the formulations. So based on the literature, we collected the plant, we authenticated. So how this is going to do miracles in regenerating the nephrotoxicity is going to be our investigation now. So as I told you, these immunosuppressant drugs are called calcineurin inhibitors. So what is this calcineurin? The calcineurin is a protein required, a binding protein, intracellular protein present in the cytoplasm to receive this cyclosporin, and once it bounds, it just started its action so that it will go to the nucleus. It is translocated into the nucleus and transcribe all the cytokine, that is this T cell activation. Okay, generally how this T cell activation is done. For the T cell release, you need this calcineurin. But looking into this mechanism, it's very small, I'm sorry, but I will explain to you. See, this is the, so could you see the membrane? There is the line over there, it is a cell membrane. So when the antigen, so this is the, to explain the mechanism of how the cyclosporin, the immunosuppressant works in preventing the T cell release, because T cell release is essential to elicit the immune response. You all know B cell, T cell, right? So our aim is to prevent or suppress the release of T cells against the organ that is transplanted, right? So we need to prevent the release of T cell. Now being a immunosuppressant, the cyclosporin, once this antigen binds to the receptor, it takes inside, and for this antigen, once it enters, it releases the calcium level, intracellular calcium level. Because this release of or increase of calcium will bind to another protein called calmodulin. I don't know whether you have studied cell biology or not. It's okay. I'll put it in a very simple manner. Calmodulin. This calmodulin is essential for this activity. It's one of the protein. Now this combination, the calcium released calmodulin binds with nuclear factor activated transcription factor. We call it as NFAT. Okay. After this, it has to enter into the nucleus, then the T cell is released, right? Now, the cyclosporin and the other drug, because calcineurin inhibitors has two drugs come under that category, cyclosporin and tacrolimus, but today I am going to concentrate only on the cyclosporin. So when this cyclosporin enters, they prevent this translocation into the nucleus, okay? When this translocation is prevented by the immune suppressant, then no T cell is released or synthesized. So the organ could work as usual without any problem. So this is how this immunosuppressant cyclosporin works. But there are, so any drug will have some kind of side effects, maybe in a minor way or major way. So here one of such effect is nephrotoxicity. So that is going to be addressed today. How this nephrotoxicity caused? Because see, if you see this immunosuppressant that leads to release of nephrotoxicity because they affect the infiltration, causes infiltration, and then affects activation of RAS pathway, you know, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. Affects it because it takes care of all the liquid balance, everything. And it also increases the vasoconstrictor. It is a vasoconstrictor. So, just constricts the valves. Okay. So, the stress is increased because of the hypoxia. The hypoxia condition prevails. It's not good for any cells. So, finally, inflammation creates, so leads to apoptosis and tubulointerstitial fibrosis. Fibrosis is not good because that leads to end-stage renal disease. So finally, the renal, the kidney got failed. So here we are going to address how could we prevent this nephrotoxicity. We can withdraw the drug or we can minimize, but as I told you, it will end up with some other problem. Without that, how it could be addressed? So we have taken a tool of use of antioxidants because Borhavia diffusa root has lot of antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, etc., etc., anti-diabetic, antimicrobial, lot of properties are there. So we have taken this as a strategy to prevent nephrotoxicity. So these are the n number of therapeutic properties that Borhavia diffusa roots have. It reduces, taken care of inflammation, rheumatism, nephrological problem, and then cytotoxical problem, then skin diseases, anemia, jaundice, asthma. So, one drug, ellame poidum. Correct? Such a wonderful, amazing herb. So based on these ideas, we developed the objectives. Yes, we need to analyze how this Borhavia root works. So we just did all this extraction process with various solvents of increasing polarity. We removed the fat, all these process you know better. So we did all that. We analyzed as all your our previous speakers said, there should be some kind of proper analysis, right? So we did phytochemical analysis, everything we did. See, this is the methodology. We collected the root material, we authenticated with one Dr. Jayaraman. He is in Tambaram, Chennai. He is a very senior most botanist and very good in identification. So he identified, and this document specimen is documented in our lab. And we did ethanol extraction, and then we did the elemental analysis in the beginning. Okay, before we go for extraction itself, with the dried powder, we did the elemental analysis. We did preliminary phytochemical. Then we did all these liquid extraction method. Okay, it's a partial purification. So with hexane, chloroform, ethyl acetate, and finally we had residual also. After we extracted, the final one is called as the residual. Then we did quantification of secondary metabolite, and we did in vitro antioxidant activity. Then cytoprotective activity also we tested. And after testing all this, we found out of 4 fractions, one was very good. Okay, the ethyl acetate fraction was very good. So we took that for further study. Compared to other extracts, this showed a better result, so we took that. But again we did separately for that extract all these, and we proceeded with the GCMS analysis. Morning sir was telling this gas chromatography mass spectrum analysis. We did HPLC, and we further went in depth to find out to prevent anti-apoptotic assays, whether this extract works against the unnaturally induced apoptosis, because we know apoptosis is a natural one, it's programmed. But this immunosuppressant which causes the more necrosis rather than apoptosis. So we did both assays, and we also did some kind of antioxidant assays, like whether this drug drug leads to the production of more amount of reactive oxygen species, because I was talking about you with vasoconstriction. So this vasoconstrictors will normally develop an environment with hypoxic condition. When the cell meets with hypoxic, when this room closed with all windows, what will happen? Our oxygen level will go down, will suffocate. So when this blood vessels get constricted, definitely there will be a demand of oxygen. So the hypoxic condition is not good, cell will induce to become died. So, and we also tested the fibrosis, because I told you interstitial tubular fibrosis develops because of this immunosuppressant, and then we also go for some kind of seeing the safety of this extract, whether we can use it. How will I prove without proving it? So we did some genotoxicity in Drosophila model, the fruit fly. Pazhathila vandu mochinu irukum illaya, you know. Yeah. We really surprised with good results. Right? So this kutti extract could do wonder. So we need to further work on it, take it to the in vivo model and then to the clinical trials. Right? But it will take some time. It's okay. But still I'm working on it. Right? So the first one, metal content of the plant. Checking of the metal content is very, very important, because it causes some toxicity, organ toxicity. So it should not mislead the power of the plant. So we need to check. Normally sodium and potassium is very, very essential for our body to maintain lot of entry and exit of the ions into the cells and outside the cells, right? So it's very important, it's present. And of course magnesium is given as one of the, zinc and copper especially. Zinc and copper was given as one of the drug for during the COVID time, Zincovid. We were used to take Zincovid, daily take. So it's a prophylactic measure. So kanna moodittu saaptom nariya. And magnesium is given as a supplement during the treatment of nephrotoxicity as a routine. So that is also present here. But an iron is also present to the acceptable amount. And also the lead and cadmium is not good for the health. That's almost absent, not present. Correct? So this is the result which shows all kind of phytoconstituents. So look at this, polyphenols, alkaloids, everything was tested. Out of all these 5 fractions, we could show the best one in ethyl acetate fraction, 2 plus, almost plus, better. I told you, we found better results with the EF, the ethyl acetate fraction. So we proceeded further with that only. Secondary metabolites are very, very important for the plants to defend, correct? To defend and to survive. So that also was checked with the fractions, and we could find lot of good things present in the ethyl acetate fraction. So you could see the flavonoids is high, polyphenols are high, tannins, everything is high in ethyl acetate fraction. All these are already checked in the sense that well known for antioxidant activity. So that is chosen. It's again confirmed it's good. Then as I told you, in vitro antioxidant assay. This was tested for all the fractions, and we could see DPPH and nitric oxide radicals, hydroxyl radicals, ABTS, everything. All these are free radicals. So the antioxidant capacity of any plant or any extract is determined by the way it could accept. Okay, it could accept the free radicals. It could donate the free radicals. So it could accept. So the free radicals that is generated in the body due to this hypoxia will be absorbed by the plant. So any further damage that is going to be created by reactive oxygen species will be prevented by the plant. And this is also proven. So you could see the ethyl acetate fraction has got a better results compared to other fractions, and we have compared that with the ascorbic acid. So ascorbic acid is vitamin C, which is a known antioxidant. We use vitamin C as a standard, gold standard for all the antioxidant properties analysis. So when we compare to these two, we could see to our surprise, it's almost, see, look at the ascorbic acid value and the ethyl acetate fraction value, almost similar. So it's a potent antioxidant. And also total antioxidant activity and reduction power was also tested, and we found that the EF has got a better reducing power as well as the total antioxidant activity. Okay, so as I told you in the beginning, antioxidant property was taken as a tool to use this plant in preventing or reducing the nephrotoxicity. Correct? So what are the tests was done? So we selected the cell line. It's a normal cell line. Okay, it's called MDCK. It's something canine. It is derived from a canine cell line, and it is maintained. We have a beautiful animal cell culture facility. So we procure the cell line from the National Center for Cell Sciences, which is in Pune, India. We get the authenticated cell line. They give us the not the primary cell line, it's a secondary cell line, and then we maintain it under these conditions. They are very sensitive. So we have the carbon dioxide incubator, and we maintain with a suitable medium. You have to provide the same condition how it works in our body with the 37 degrees Celsius, okay, with the carbon dioxide and all that, with the glucose, amino acids, proteins, all that will be present in this DMEM medium, that is called Dulbecco's modified Eagles medium. Maybe you can make a note of it and find the role of all this, and then you can submit as a report to your teacher. Okay, I am giving you the assignment. Yes, you need to work further, then only you can explore a lot of things. Don't leave off with this 2 days and go and sit at home. It will never work. You need to continuously work on something, then you will get a good outcome. Am I right? Yes. So after you grow well, so after you reach 6 years, you will go to the school, correct? Not immediately. So this cell lines have to be maintained, passaged, and then after complete confluence, fully grown in the flask, then we will treat with the extract. This MTT assay is an assay which gives an idea about the viability of the cell. After you treat the fractions, if you check the cell line, it should be viable, because we are going to take this as a drug, yeah. So I should check with the cell whether the cell could show a liveliness even after treating with that. So look at this. When we treat these cells with the cyclosporin, we took 20 micromolar and 91% of the cells dead. Yeah, this causes apoptosis. That's the problem. That is why nephrotoxicity comes. Am I right? Am I right? After treating with this immunosuppressant, cells die. That is the problem that we are addressing, taking this Borrelia diffusa root extract in treating it. So when you co-treat this cyclosporine along with the ethyl acetate fraction, look at that. The 25 microgram, when you treat co-treatment, you will have cyclosporine as well as the fraction together you will treat. Okay? So the cell death is minimal. When I increase the concentration, see here it shows 45, it is, the remaining is viable. When I say 50 microgram to 34, 34 na death irukkum. Mathadella viable irukkum. So it's slowly increasing the viability. It shows that extract and the components are doing something in the cell, preventing the effect of this cyclosporin. But you cannot conclude with this. It's a very preliminary test to see the cytotoxicity. Going to the next level, whether it is, we wanted to check, okay, if I increase the concentration of the fraction which I have chosen, 500 microgram and 1000 microgram. I don't know whether it is so visible, the morphology of the cells, but of course you can see there is no round morphology, maybe very less, which is a regular apoptosis. Otherwise, it's normal. It's like flat elongated model. The MDK cells will look like flat elongated model. We could not find any kind of abrupt cytotoxicity. So that also proves through morphological changes. As I told you, it should be flat and elongated. The rounded cells is a typical morphological changes occur in apoptotic and necrotic cells. Okay, but that is not. See, look at this, the control and this cyclosporin. Cyclosporin you could see dot dot dot. That is all round morphology. But look at the group which is treated with ethyl acetate fraction 25 and 50. You can see elongated cells. So this shows, confirms that the ethyl acetate fraction definitely has some component which prevents these changes induced by the cyclosporin. Correct? Could you able to follow? Yes. That is one way of analyzing. No morphological changes, no apoptosis is induced because of this. Even if you treat with immunosuppressant, it could do some kind of wonders. Then I just went on to find out how much of cells getting into apoptosis or necrosis, all that. This is one staining called acridine orange and ethidium bromide. Okay? They will just enter into the cells, intercalate with DNA. Okay, acridine orange and will enter into both live and dead cells and intercalate with the DNA. But it will enter into the dislocated, that is a dismantled DNA. Okay, and that will happen only in the dead cells, not in live cells. So this will give you an idea about, see this green color, fluorescence. Okay, and then you can, the first row is for AO-ETBR staining, and the host staining is the B1, and PI is the last one, red color staining. So this dark, the second row, column, the second column is meant only for the cyclosporin induced cells. You could see some kind of round shape or more red color. All these are apoptotic cells, dead cells. But if you see the other side, probably less red color in the last row or less red color also in the top row, and there is no white and blue dark circles in the here. So this again proves that this EF can prevent the apoptosis induced. This is a flow cytometry. So how many of you have seen the flow cytometry any time, anywhere? Flow cytometry is used for cell cycle analysis. It will give you a complete insight about the cell population. How many, cell cycle you must have studied. How much cells are in the primitive stage, or in the DNA synthesis stage, or in the mitotic stage. And then it is getting into the senescence. All this cell cycle analysis you should have studied. So this gives a beautiful knowledge about, or insight about this quadrant, this four square, that is called quadrant. This quadrant gives the scattered population of the cells. So as the cells progress from the left lower quadrant to further, that shows the death. So look at the B, the second one, to the right, second, that is immunosuppressant treated one. And as you treated with the other fractions, it's coming down. The same has been quantified. See, this is control. The first bar is control, not treated with anything. No drug, no ethyl acetate fraction, nothing. The cells are completely viable. Very less apoptotic cells and necrotic cells. But when you treat with this CSA, look at the second group, the elevation bar, the third bar. Second group la, third bar is for necrosis. Necrosis is unnatural death induced by toxic agents, any injury or toxic agents. That is proven. So when you go to the third group and the fourth group, which are treated with our extract, shows a good improvement in the cell proliferation. So again it confirms. So we confirmed many times through many parameters. Okay. The next parameter that we have taken is why cells die. Why we bleed? when it is cut. The membrane is cut. So the contents are released, correct? So our this surface is completely closed by the skin. So when it is cut, blood ooze out. Likewise, for any cell, the integrity is maintained only because of the membrane. So this immunosuppressant, when it causes nephrotoxicity, can damage the membrane. So the lactate dehydrogen, that's what we say, that is present will be released. That is one of the parameters that we can measure to see the extent in which the cells are damaged because of the nephrotoxicity. So look at the bar. The second group, here the normal is not, control is not shown here. You can see the bars, the direction of the bars. That represents the leakage, whether it goes high or low. There is no leakage. So you can, first one, 80% of the LDH is present in the medium because cells were affected, membrane was damaged and the contents are released. The LDH was released. That LDH which was released from the cell was measured. But the same has come down from 80 to 40 and then to 30 depending upon the dose, proves once again, of course, the extract protects the membrane integrity. So these are all the parameters which we should take into consideration. Okay? And so that the second, taking this, okay, the integrity is again protected by this thing. But how come, what happens to the distribution or the cells in different phases? The cells will undergo different phases like G0, G1 and S phase and G2M phase and sub G0. This sub G0 will have dead cells, you know, correct? So look at this, the cyclosporin causes so much of death, causes accumulation of cells, the 23 compared to any other group. The highest cell population could be observed in G0. G0 is the dead phase, accumulation phase. And G0, G1 also, it is increased because it prevents the cells to go to the next level of cell cycles for DNA synthesis. It prevents DNA synthesis. Will a cell can survive after once the DNA? No, definitely. So that is why it is the concentration of the cell population is more in the G0, G1 because it gets prevented there itself. The apoptosis is inducted but when you compare the other two groups, you can see the improvement with the extract. Again, the cell population study indicates that the extract could improve the proliferation of the cells and the liveliness of the cells so that they can go to the next level. I am not saying 100% it is happening, but there is a good improvement. That itself is a positive strategy. Again, the DNA fragmentation. I wanted to see whether the extract causes any fragmentation in the DNA. So we run along with the ladder, the marker. Okay, this is the marker. The first line is the marker. The second one is the control, that is normal cells without any treatment. And the third one is the CSA. So if you see this third line, the fragmentation, you can see the fragmentation below. I could see some 3 bands. But if you go to the 4th row and 5th row, there is only 1 band, probably very, very less band. So this could also prevent the DNA fragmentation that happens in the nephrotoxic, kidney cells. This again proves that it prevents the fragmentation, DNA fragmentation too. And also, have you heard of this term, mitochondrial membrane potential? Because you must have studied about ATP, the high energy compound which gives energy through glycolysis, TCA cycle, all that you must have studied, right? So the major organ which is the powerhouse is the mitochondria. So and you know the polarization and depolarization of the membranes, all that you must have studied. So when the mitochondria undergo depolarization, there the problem starts. They lose its capacity to synthesize ATP because the membrane system, the enzyme which is present in the membrane system gets affected by the toxicity, and so the generation of ATP is lessened, so reduced, so that the concentration of ATP that has to be transferred to the cytoplasm will also come down. So this situation causes a depolarization. When the depolarization happens, there will be a translocation of the cytochrome C. Okay, so the translook from mitochondria to the cytoplasm, that shows, or that is an indication that the enzymes of mitochondrial system gets affected. So we wanted to find out whether the cyclosporin induces death because of disturbing the mitochondria. Yes, that also happens. Simultaneously, we know our body has continuous metabolic functions, and production of ROS is part of the metabolism. It cannot be avoided. But of course, we have a good antioxidant system in our own body which will take care of the less produced ROS. But because of this injury or toxicity, the amount of ROS that is generated because of the mitochondrial depolarization and dysfunction cannot be taken care, which again will lead to damage the membrane of the cells. All these are consequences. Okay, so all these are put together and cause apoptosis, necrosis. Okay, so this polarization, so you can see the control CSA and the other two groups. Control has 1300, that is, this is measured in terms of relative fluorescence, and it's high. In the normal cells, the mitochondria is normally functioning, no problem. But in CSA treated group, it comes down to 400. See, almost 3 times the function is getting affected. Without mitochondria, the cell cannot, not only mitochondria, for anything else. Any functions is affected, that will have implications, right? So, but when you treat with a good plant, it's slowly getting up. So, it's taking care. Okay? So, with this quite interesting results, I told you the translocation of cytochrome C that takes place. We wanted to prove that also. Is really due to the translocation of the cytochrome C from the mitochondria? Yes. And this is the GA, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. This is the housekeeping gene. It's also all present. So taken that as a standard, we checked with the cytochrome C release. You could see, no, the second row, or the column you can say, the density of the band is thick. Could you notice, students, the second column? But when you treat with our plant, it's getting lessen. Density is lessen. So the release is being taken care of. So this is all 48 hours treatment. So any drug has to be taken for quite some time for a complete cure, isn't it? So because it's a preliminary study, so we were very happy with the good results. So once the cytochrome C is activated and translocated, the caspase 3, have you studied caspase 3? No? Okay, this is also one of the protein that is released at the end of, during the apoptosis, and we wanted to, the activation of caspase 3 was decreased in the plant treated group. So this is an important strategy in prevention of nephrotoxicity, and so we could recommend this plant can be given, the formulation can be given as an adjuvant therapy, adjuvant regimen. So I take immunosuppressant along with this formulation. The one thing will take care of the rejection, the other one will take care of the kidney. It is protected. Correct? So without compromising the immunosuppressant, our formulation will take care of regenerating the kidney. So I am talking about the regeneration, proliferation, prevention. So we further went with clonogenic assay. This clonogenic assay is something to show that the damaged cell can regenerate. We feel sometimes depressed, and after listening to some Vijay song or Tala song or Rajini song, you get or I'm old, for you Charkana, Le Vijay still is the top. I don't know who is the latest hero. Evergreen Vijay or Thalai? Vijay? Thalaya? Vijay? Okay, Evergreen Vijay. Okay. So we get relaxed, or sometimes we talk to mom or dad or sanda podra the siblings soda. Idella namala regenerate panni vidum to show us the best. So like that, this clonogenic assay to prove that the cells are proliferated even after exposed to the immunosuppressant. So look at that, the proliferation level goes up like control. It's again a proof. Okay, so I keep proving through various assays, and as I told you, the hypoxic condition and ROS has to be measured, correct? That is done by this staining. So see, look at the results. The first one is the control. There is a red color bar. Can you see the red color bar? So in the control, all the cells were on the left side. Nothing is on the right side. Okay? Not much ROS. Whatever that was produced as part of the regular metabolism has been taken care of. All catalase, superoxide dismutase, all that is there in our body. Or we drink green tea for antioxidants. So all that will take care of. But look, the movement of that black color to the progress to the right side, that shows the concentration or accumulation of ROS that is happening. But again, that is coming to this side. When you increase the concentration to 50, almost everything is on the left side. Again, a proof the production of ROS is also taken care of by the extract. Yes. So anything interesting happening there? Is it a good result or not? Nice? Okay, good. So you must have heard of this lipid peroxidation as well. This is again damage of the membrane. The ROS that is produced will break the polyunsaturated fatty acids that is part of the membrane. So this breakage leads to the release of the component called malondialdehyde. It's a peroxide. So that is also measured. We had a very good result. It's coming down on treatment. This is very interesting. The collagen accumulation. See, the accumulation of extracellular matrix is one of the precondition before it undergo to the end stage renal disease. Okay. So this extracellular matrix proteins is nothing but the collagen. So the type 1 collagen was stained with the red-O dye. So you can see the fibrosis is intense in the case of cyclosporin, but so after that it at 50 microgram it's coming down slowly. Okay, so the reduction of accumulation of collagen is also being taken care of. So that is the quantification. We analyzed the extra, then we were interested, okay, something is really happening. We wanted to know which one is responsible for all these action. Okay. So we wanted to identify, so which student is very smart in the class. We'll go with ranking or we'll go with interaction. There are a lot of ways. So we chosen the gas chromatography mass spectrum analysis. It showed lot of components, and you could see the components have antioxidant property, anti-inflammatory, all these. So probably compounds and particularly we also checked, because based on the secondary metabolite analysis we could see the more concentration of flavonoid. So we were just wondering whether it could be the flavonoid that is responsible. Yes, to our surprise we could find quercetin. Quercetin is a flavonoid which has lot of good property, was found to be this much as per the HPLC analysis in the particular ethyl acetate fraction. Now it is proven that quercetin probably with its antioxidant property could take care of the ROS scavenging property which was created because of the vasoconstriction. So when the antioxidant is taken care of, even the anti-inflammatory effect will come down. So these are the properties of the plant or the fraction probably responsible in reducing the nephrotoxicity. Okay, so but we wanted to see all these are somehow in vitro, right? Only cells maintained outside. How it works inside when you consume. That also has to be taken. So what we did the hemolytic assay. The fraction should not cause any harm to the cells. So we took RBCs and we treated, and we could find there is no much. It's all acceptable range. And also we extended to an in vivo model, that is fruit fly, Drosophila melanogaster. We have a beautiful fly lab in our department with a lot of mutants. We have wild mutants type. We do lot of genetic analysis also. So to check the effect of this genotoxic effect of this particular fraction, we use this. So we found there is no fragmentation that occurs, DNA fragmentation occurs here. Already we tested outside, but still in the Drosophila we fed this fraction along with the food, and then for 24 hours, then we checked there is no, the C is the ladder, the first one is the control, and the third one is the 25. I mean C is the ladder, A is the control, B is 25, last one is the 50. So here also we could see there is no fragmentation occurs. So, and EMS is used as a positive control. EMS is ethyl methyl sulfonate. It's a standard for mutagenicity. It's a mutagenic control. Okay. So that could, the last one, D is the EMS, where you could see down there are some bands. So that is causing, but the the fraction doesn't causes. So with that we can conclude, of course, the calcineurin inhibitor, cyclosporin is one of the calcineurin inhibitor which causes cell death through apoptosis and necrosis, but that can be reversed and regenerated using this Borhavia root extract, and so this can be extrapolated or taken forward for further in vivo studies in animals and then to clinical trials. Okay, so but the finding a lead compound is very important. So probably the fractions can again be subjected to the column chromatography, and then you can separate a single lead compound, and then you can continue with the development of drug. So that is what I told you in the beginning. It takes almost 10 years passing the clinical trials and then coming to the pharmaceutical. Okay, so it takes a lot of time, but we need to work continuously. Probably one generation after the another generation should take a lead in proceeding with this kind of work, so that we can definitely end up with good results. So these are some of the publications that has come out from this particular work, and at this time I would like to acknowledge and thank my own institute, Sri Ramchandra Institute of Higher Education, for funding this particular work as a fellowship for one of my PhD scholar. Thank you so much for patient listening. Thank you. Any questions? I would be happy to answer. If you understand, you are keeping quiet because you understood everything, or you don't understand anything. Students should ask some questions.
Ma'am, that ethanolic extract, ethyl acetate fraction you took, that was acidic or basic, ma'am?
It's not very acidic because it should not be in the lower side, more on the upper side. It's almost towards the neutral.
Almost towards.
Because that otherwise problem will arise.
Okay.
You are a chemistry person.
No, I am a Siddha physician. Thank you, madam. I asked this question because my next paper is most linking to this presentation. Please take the note of this. Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Very good presentation. Thank you.
Ma'am asked whether the ethyl acetate fraction was very acidic or basic. It should not be acidic or basic very much. It nearly the neutral, because otherwise very less acidic will cause damage, or very alkaline. That is why our physiological pH is 7.4, isn't it? So that is why we also tested the concentration of this fraction at its highest level 1000 microgram per ml. So when we treated that also with the normal cell line, it did not cause any kind of death to the cells. Then only we made it, we became aware we can proceed with this, because if it causes any death even to the RBCs through the hemolytic activity, I showed you very less percentage of cell death, only 4. Okay, so that kind of thing is acceptable, but not otherwise. So as this fraction did not cause any death, because it was almost nearly to the neutral. Even our salivary amylase has 6.8, correct? So, and we have pepsin, all trypsin works at the basic level, but it is localized, compartmentalized. Okay, we have a mucous membrane. You may have these questions, but also that I am coming out with the answer before you ask the question. So, our stomach is protected with all these acidic proteins because with a mucous membrane lined, so that it is protected. So, if you leave your stomach empty for a longer time, it will act on the membrane, so that you will get acidity or ulcer on a longer run. So, that is the concept. Yes.